এই সেগমেন্টে আমরা partial differentiation এর chain rule application গুলো দেখব। So recall if we have y is equal to f of x and x equals to gt, then we can differentiate dy by dt is equal to f of g of t whole prime, right? Outer function, inner function. That's the original segment of chain rule. এখন এই ফাংশনটা কিভাবে সেগমেন্ট চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে, ভেরিয়েবল চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে, অ্যাকর্ডিং টু দ্যাট y is presented in terms of x, then x is presented in terms of t. So y presented in terms of x presented in terms of t. That completes the full journey. So differentiation of y with respect to x times differentiation of x with respect to t. That's what we have, dy dx dx dt. That completes the chain rule of the entire chain. There is only one segment. Suppose z is equal to f of xy is a differentiable function of x and y, where x equals to gt and y is equal to ht are both differentiable functions of t. Then z is differentiable function of t, and derivation of z with respect to t কি হবে সেটা আমরা এখন দেখব। Z is splitted into two groups. Z equals to function of xy, which can be splitted into x and y. There is a chain for x that ends at t, chain for y that ends at t. So differentiation of z with respect to x time derivation of x with respect to t. That is our first segment. Second segment, differentiation of z with respect to y, derivation of y with respect to t. That is our second segment. Now instead of writing z, we can write f as well, as z is equal to f of xy. The pressure P in kilopascals, volume V in liters, and temperature T in kelvins of a mole of an ideal gas are related by the equation PV is equal to 8.31 T. So pressure, volume, temperature. This is the expression, algebraic expression. Find the rate at which the pressure is changing. So dp, definitely এটা dp, but এটা dt কিভাবে হলো সেটা আমরা এখন ডিসকাস করব। Find the rate of change at which the pressure is changing when the temperature is 300 K, that is your temperature, and it is increasing at a rate of 0.1 Kelvin per second. So temperature is changing with respect to time, and the volume is 100 liter, which is increasing at the rate of 0.2 liter per second. So volume also changing with respect to time. So therefore definitely our pressure is changing with respect to time. So this is what we have to find. So this is incorrect, that is incorrect, this is correct. This is what we have to find, কারণ এখানে আমাদের temperature is changing with respect to time, volume also changing with respect to time. Pressure, volume and temperature, they do interact with each other, so definitely pressure is changing. This rate of change is actually happening with respect to time. So T is the time elapsed in second. Pressure actually has temperature and volume. Temperature is changing in terms of time, volume also changing in terms of time. So given information, T is equal to 300, V is equal to 100, dt by dt is 0.1, dV by dt is 0.2. So these informations can be gathered from here. Next, PV is equal to 8.31 T, therefore P is equal to 8.31 T by V. So pressure যদি এইটা হয়, so differentiate pressure with respect to T. So T is the variable, this is constant coefficient, so that's 1. Differentiate pressure with respect to volume. 1 by V is equal to V to the power minus 1. So derivation of V to the power minus 1 হচ্ছে minus 1 V square. So this is constant, that is constant, and this is the differentiation of 1 by V. এটাকে simplify করলে হবে negative 8.31 T by V square. So we have differentiated pressure with respect to time and with respect to volume. So finally, derivation of P with respect to time, dp by dt, dp by dt, dt by dt. That is the first segment. dp by dv, dv by dt. That is the second segment. dp by dt is 8.31 by v. Leave it as it is. dp by dv হচ্ছে negative 8.31 t by v square. Leave that as it is. Now v is equal to 100. dt by dt is given in the question 0.1. t is equal to 300 given in the question. V square, so 100 square. dv by dt also given 0.2, so 0.2. After simplification there is a minus sign, so the pressure is decreasing at a rate of about 0.042 kilopascal per second. Second case of chain rule. Suppose z represented function of xy is a differentiable function of x and y, where x is presented in terms of function of st, y also presented in terms of function of st are differentiable function of s and t. So z is a function of xy, x is a function of s and t, y also is a function of s and t. Derivation of z with respect to s. So look at the red segment. dz by dx, dx by dt, dz by dy, dy by ds. So dz by dx, dx by ds. Segment 1. dz by dy, dy by ds. Segment 2. Now differentiate z with respect to t. So we are going to look at the blue segments. Derivation of z with respect to x, derivation of x with respect to t, plus derivation of z with respect to y, derivation of y with respect to t. Second segment. So let's solve this problem. If z is equal to e to the power x sine y and x is equal to st square, y is equal to s square t, find dz by ds and dz by dt. So dz by ds we just found out this one. So using this formula, dz by dt is using, we are going to use this formula. So আমরা ফর্মুলাগুলো লিখলাম, অ্যাকর্ডিংলি এখন আমরা পার্শিয়াল ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন পারফর্ম করব। সো যদি z এটা হয়, if this is our z, differentiate this with respect to x. So with respect to x এটা কি হবে? e to the power x sin y হচ্ছে constant coefficient, e to the power x sin y. Next differentiate x with respect to s. With respect to s. So t square is a constant coefficient, derivation of s is equal to 1. So just t square. Again differentiate this function z with respect to y. So with respect to y এটা হয়ে যাবে sin y এর derivation হচ্ছে cos y, e to the power x is just a constant coefficient. Differentiate this function with respect to s, y with respect to s. So s square is twice s, or t is just a constant coefficient. So that's it. Next line, you simplify it. Now we are going to do this again. আবার আমরা chain rule apply করব. So let's apply the chain rule again. dz dx, differentiate this with respect to x, এই যে একই অ্যান্সার আসবে। So e to the power x sin y. dx dt, dx with respect to t, t square is equal to twice t, or s is just a constant coefficient, 2st. dz dy, এই যে dz dy, e to the power x cos y. dy with respect to t, s square t, s square is a constant coefficient, derivation of t হচ্ছে 1, so just s square. Simplified. এক্সপ্রেশনটাকে আমরা ট্রি ডায়াগ্রাম দিয়েও রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারি। z coming along with x and y, x coming along with st, y coming along with s and t. General rule for chain rule formula. Suppose that u is differentiable function on the n variables, say x1, x2 up to xn, and each xj is a differentiable function of m variables, say t1, t2 to m. Then u is a function of t1, t2 up to tm, and derivation, partial derivation of u with respect to ti, I is equal to 1, 2, 3 up to m. du by dx1, dx1 by dti plus du by dx2, dx2 by dti dot dot finally du by dxn, dxn by dti. So we are going to see an example. এখানে m আর n এর ভ্যালু আমাদের এই এক্সাম্পলে হচ্ছে 4 আর 2. m is equal to 2, n is equal to 4. So n is equal to 4, that means we will have x1, x2, x3, x4. Our m is equal to 2, that means we are going to have t1 and t2. So let's see. Write out the chain rule for the case where w is equal to x, y, z, t. So n is equal to 4. And x is equal to x of uv, y is equal to y's of uv, z is equal to z of uv, and t is equal to t's of uv. So m is equal to 2. So derivation of w with respect to u calculate korbo, derivation of w with respect to v. So this is the t diagram. So the tree diagram will look like this: x, y, z, t, w in terms of x, y, z, t, x in terms of uv, y in uv, z, uv, and t, uv. First segmented, let's focus on the red color portion: dw dx dx by du. Then dw dy dy by du, second segment. Third segment, dw by dz dz by du. Fourth segment, dw by dt dt by du. So first segment complete. Derivation of w with respect to v. So look at the blue segments: dw by dx dx by dv, dw by dy dy by dv. Third segment, dw by dz dz by dv. Eta. Fourth segment হচ্ছে এটা, dw by dt dt by dv. Now we are going to do an example. If u is equal to this, x is equal to that, y is equal to that, and z is equal to that, find the value of du with respect to s, where r is equal to 2, s is equal to 1, t is equal to 0, and x is equal to 2, y is equal to 2, z is equal to 0. Tree diagram jodi kori, u is presented in terms of x, y, z. X, y, z, each of them are presented in terms of r, s, t. We have to focus on differentiation of u with respect to s. So আমরা মিডলের যে স্টেমটা আছে সেটাতে ফোকাস করছি। du by dx dx by ds, du by dy dy by ds, du by dz dz by ds, তিনটা সেগমেন্ট। Differentiate u with respect to x. So 4x cube y, এটা পুরাটাই 0 হবে, that's it, done. Dx by ds, the differentiate x with respect to s, which is just 1. S এর coefficient হচ্ছে 1, then the other coefficients of s are r and e to the power t, so r e to the power t. Differentiate u with respect to y, so x to the power 4 into 1 twice y into z cube. Differentiation of y with respect to s, differentiate this with respect to s. এখানে constant coefficient হচ্ছে r e to the power minus t multiplied by twice s, derivation of s square হচ্ছে twice s, so this is the one. Next, differentiate u with respect to z, so this is 0 plus y square into 3z square, done. Then differentiate z with respect to s, differentiate z with respect to s. So coefficient of s হচ্ছে r square sin t, derivation of s equals to 1, so r square sin t. Later on you substitute the value of x, y, z and r, t, z, r, s and t, and the final answer is 192. G is presented in terms of st, as you can see, which is function of s square minus t square, t square minus a square. Function is differentiable, show that g satisfies the following equation. Since both of them are presented in terms of s and t, আমরা একটা segment change করে ফেলছি. Let's change the f. Let's say f is represented in terms of x, y. So assuming x is equal to a square minus t square, y is equal to t square minus a square. So now if we create a tree diagram, so f এর tree টা কোনটা থেকে শুরু হবে? f is in terms of x, y, x itself in terms of st, so st, y also in terms of st. So derivation of f with respect to x, derivation of x with respect to s, derivation of f with respect to y, derivation of y with respect to s. That completes the derivation of g with respect to s, because g of st is equal to f. G of st, differentiate g with respect to t. So with respect to t, আমরা second segment এ যাচ্ছি. Differentiation of f with respect to x, differentiation of x with respect to t, plus df with respect to dy, dy with respect to dt. That completes the second term. Derivation of x with respect to s is twice s minus 0. Derivation of y with respect to s is 0 minus twice s. Derivation of x with respect to t is 0 minus twice t. Derivation of y with respect to t is twice t minus 0. Twice t. Now substitute the value. gs in our left hand side we have this in the equation. So write it down. T multiplied by everything here. So t into twice s, twice ts df dx. T into negative twice s, negative st df dy plus s into twice t, twice st df dx, s into twice t, again twice st df dy. Remove the bracket, final answer is 0, which is the right hand side. Next example, if z is equal to function of xy has continuous second order partial derivative, x equals to this and y is equal to that, find the expression for dz dr and later on d square z dr square. So it a first derivation, it a second derivation. First derivation dz by dr, z is xy, x presented in terms of rs, y also presented in terms of rs. We have to differentiate z with respect to r, so focus on the black stream only. Dz by dx, dx by dr plus dz by dy, dy by dr. Differentiate x with respect to r is twice r. Derivation of y with respect to r is twice s. Apply product rule to express in part A. We have এটার উপর আমরা আবার ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করছি, সো ডেরিভেশন ডিফারেন্সিয়েটিং এগেইন, সো dz by dr you need d square z dr square, so that means on the left hand side if you multiply dz by dr with d into dr you get d square z dr square. So performing d by dr on both sides, left side and on the right hand side. So left hand side as it is এটা চলে আসলো, right hand side এটা কিন্তু uv formula twice r dz dr, so 2 dz dx plus 2r derivation d dr by dz dx. So u prime v plus u into v prime, derivation of v. So derivation of u, v হচ্ছে constant plus u constant, differentiation of v, এইটা যদি আমার v হয় এটা যদি u হয়. Twice is just a constant, so write twice s. Differentiate dz with respect to y, so d dr by dz by dy. Next we have to simplify this segment and we need to simplify this segment. So to do that we have to differentiate z with respect to x. d dr আমাদের হাতে আছে, we have it. dz by dr কে সিম্পল ওয়েতে সিম্পলিফাই করে এভাবে লেখা যায় d by dr into z. Now derivation of z with respect to x. So এই পোর্শনটাকে আমরা সিম্পলিফাই করব. So in part A we already had d by dr into z, which is equivalent to this. This is your part A. So এটা যদি আমার part A হয়, part A কে আমি দুইবার ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করব কারণ দুইটা সেগমেন্ট লাগবে. একটা হচ্ছে derivation of z with respect to x, I need this, and d dr differentiation of z একই জিনিস, differentiation of z now with respect to y. So আমার দুইটা সেগমেন্ট লাগবে, I will need these two segments from part A. So let's differentiate this part or this part, whatever you want to, you can substitute the values. Differentiate this part with respect to x. So introduce d by dz. Z is already there, z is already there, so all you have to introduce is d by dz. So perform d by dz on both sides of part A. So d by dx, sorry d by dz বলছি আমি, d by dx আরেকটা হবে ডি বাই ডেল বাই ডেল ওয়াই, একটা হচ্ছে ডেল বাই ডেল জেড, আরেকটা হচ্ছে ডেল বাই ডেল ওয়াই, কারণ জেড ইজ অলরেডি দেয়ার ইন পার্ট ওয়ান, সো লেটস নট কল দ্যাট। সো উই আর ডিফারেন্সিয়েটিং this entire segment with respect to x now. So it was originally given ddx into the right hand side. Okay, right hand side টাকে আবার আমরা লিখছি রিমুভিং দ্য ব্র্যাকেট, লেফট হ্যান্ড সাইডটাকে রিঅর্গানাইজ করে লিখছি dz by dx and d by dr, so that it looks like this. So we have reorganized the left hand side and making sure it looks like that. Nothing has been changed. Right hand side, just remove the bracket, write them as it is. Dx by dr is equal to twice r, dy by dr is twice s. Just substitute the values. D into dz, d square z, dx হচ্ছে dx square. D into dz, d square z, dy dx, so dy dx multiplied. Let's call this equation 1. Now apply differentiation with respect to y on both sides of a. Okay, on both sides of a. So part a te eta amader chilo originally, we are performing the differentiation with respect to y on part a, both sides of a. If z is equal to f of xy has continuous second order partial derivative and x is equal to r square s square, y is equal to twice rs, find the expression for a dz by dr and b d square z by dr square. So z is presented in terms of xy, x is presented in terms of rs, y is presented in terms of rs. So dz by dr is obviously dz by dx, dx by dr, and dz by dy, dy by dr. Differentiating x with respect to r is going to be twice r plus 0. Differentiating y with respect to r is going to be twice s only. Now, to do the second derivation, we have to apply product rule to the expression in part a. We have part a te এই পার্টটাতে আমরা we are differentiating this function for the second time, একই জিনিস পারফর্ম করছি. So derive this function with respect to d by dr. So expression will look like this: d by dr of dz dr is equal to del square z divided by del r square. So which does match with the left hand side. It does match with the left hand side. Right hand side ki hobe? Differentiate this, or maybe use this one to derive. Okay. So d by dr, performing d by dr on the right hand side, we have twice r dz dx plus twice s twice z dy. এখন এইটাকে আমরা যখন এটা তো আমরা সিম্পলিফাই করলাম. Now say this is your u, this is your v. So u prime is equal to 2, v is constant, plus u is constant, derivation of this, so derivation of dz by dx. Next, twice s is just a constant coefficient কারণ আমাদের variable এখানে r, so twice s is just a constant coefficient. Differentiate this with respect to r is that. Now we have to calculate this segment and that segment. If you go back to equation number 1, we have del z with respect to r. এই z টাকে যদি আমরা differentiate করি with respect to x, then it turns out as this. And if we differentiate z with respect to y, it turns out as that. So these two simplified version do match with these two segments. So আমরা এখন যেটা করব, we are going to apply del by del r. So we are going to differentiate the entire equation 1 with respect to r again. Let's do that. So I'm writing equation 1 and differentiating, sorry, not differentiating with respect to r, with respect to x. We are going to differentiate equation 1 with respect to x because r is already there. In equation number A, it is already d by dr and there is a z multiplication. So what I want to do, I need to know what is dz by dx. If I introduce that, how will that look like? সো এইটার জন্য আমাকে এক্সট্রা যে সেগমেন্ট দুইটা লাগবে, এটার জন্য লাগবে ডেল বাই ডেল এক্স আর এটার জন্য লাগবে ডেল বাই ডেল ওয়াই। সো ফার্স্ট ইকুয়েশন এ কে আমরা ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করব ডেল বাই ডেল এক্স দিয়ে। সো ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন ইকুয়েশন এ বাই ডেল এক্স, ডেল বাই ডেল এক্স, ডেল বাই ডেল এক্স। Rearrange the left hand side. So del by del r into del z by del x. Now this segment looks exactly same as this segment. Right hand side, remove all the brackets. Del x by del r is already we know twice t and del y by del r is equal to twice s. So substitute their values. Multiply them. Del into del z হচ্ছে del square z, del x হচ্ছে del x square, del into del square z, del y del x will remain as it is. Let's call this equation 1. Again apply the differentiation. So basically we are talking about this segment. Okay, this is the extra segment that we needed from equation 1, because equation 1 already has del by del r into z, but we need dz by dx and we also need dz by dy. So in equation 1 apply d by dx, then you will get the first segment. In equation 1 also apply dz by dy, then you will get the second segment. So apply d by dy into equation 1 to get the second segment. Differentiate equation 1 by d by dy. Okay, rearranging the left hand side, del by del r লিখছি একসাথে, del z by del y লিখলাম. So the second part now do match with this. এখানে ব্র্যাকেটগুলো আমরা রিমুভ করে দিচ্ছি। dx by dr is equal to twice r, dy by dr is equal to twice s. Multiply. Now substitute equation number 1 and equation number 2, which is this segment and that segment, into equation b. Substituting it, simplifying. Implicit differentiation. Function of xy is equal to 0 defines y implicitly as a differentiable function of x. Y is equal to f of x, where f of x and function of x, which is your y, is equal to 0 for all x in the domain of f. So if I apply chain rule on function of xy, or over here it will be df by dx, dx by dx plus df by dy, dy by dx. So that will be the ultimate thing. এখন আমার লাগবে dy by dx. So dy by dx is equal to this segment will go on the right hand side. So there is a minus sign. And df by dy is the constant coefficient of dy by dx. So it will go down. So এটা শিফট হয়ে যাবে, এটা নিচে চলে যাবে. So therefore it should not be 0 and that is equivalent to 1. Minus fx fy. So it is the easiest way to remember is dy by dx is equal to, there is a minus sign always, partial derivation of f with respect to x. So do the cross with respect to x, and the denominator will have partial differentiation of capital F with respect to y, which is in the numerator over here. Let's do an example. Find y prime if x cube y cube is equal to 6xy, or we can write it in this way. So dy by dx will be minus fx by fy. Differentiating this with respect to x will be 3x square plus 0 minus 6y. Differentiating this again with respect to y will be 0 plus 3y square minus 6x. Simplify. Find the partial derivation of z with respect to x and with respect to y if this is the function of x, y, z. So let this is the function of x, y, z. So differentiate z with respect to x. Okay, so we are differentiating z with respect to x. That will be, so performing the derivation, এটা হয়ে যাবে with respect to x. So fx On the numerator it will be fx, there is a minus sign, and denominator hobe fz. Okay, cross. So this is 3x square plus 0 এটা হয়ে যাবে 6 then y then z, because coefficient of x হচ্ছে 6yz plus 0. Denominator with respect to z তাহলে এটা 0 0 3z square 6 into x into y into 1. Okay, simplified. Differentiation of z with respect to y is equal to minus f derivation of f with respect to y divided by derivation of f with respect to z. So differentiating this with respect to y, so 0 3y square 0 plus 6 into x into 1 into z. Okay, or with respect to z is same as this one, and then we simplify it.